there, I'm Mrs. Heisey, and today I am going to show you guys how to do steps 2, 3, and 4 for the charcoal scoop. All right, on your directions, don't forget, as you complete things, make sure you check them off so you know exactly where you are in case you have any questions. So for step number 2, it tells us, transfer the outside edges of your paper pattern onto the sheet metal using a marker. Just grab a Sharpie, doesn't matter what color, and you're just simply going to take your pattern that you created, and you'll get a piece of sheet metal from me, and I will go ahead and transfer this on here. Now when you're doing this, it's only going to fit on one way, like this. If you have it, turn the opposite way, you'll notice your edges aren't going to line up, and the top and bottom, you're going to have extra room. So that will only fit on one way. We're just simply going to take our pattern, line it up with the top and bottom, and trace to the outside. Now as you're tracing, try your best to keep your lines nice and straight because you will be cutting along those lines. All right. We're also going to learn about a few new tools today. We're going to be using a marking gauge, and we will also be using the tin snips and a scratch-all. All right. So once you have all your lines drawn on here, don't forget about these little ones right here where we have to lift this down, and we have a little line that comes here. So make sure you fold those little tabs over and just draw your line going straight down. All right, so on here I have my pattern complete, and notice these are the little lines that I'm talking about right here. Now step number 3, it says successfully mark all the interior lines on the sheet metal using a scratch awl and a marking gauge and a steel ruler. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and grab a ruler. And this right here, this is a scratch awl. It has a nice little point on the end right here, so it's just going to scratch a nice little line going across my metal wherever I need it to be. So the first things that I want to do is I make sure I look at my pattern so I can see. I need to have a line here, I need one here, coming down this way, going across, up, over. All these areas are where I'm going to need to use my scratch awl. So I just simply look at my pattern, grab a ruler, all right, and I'm going to start to make my lines on there. I place my ruler where I would like my line to be, grab the scratch awl, and just lightly create it or make a line going right across the edge of your ruler. All right, and it just makes a nice little scratch in there for you. Okay, got that. Then, oops. Okay, so now that I have all my lines, the next tool that I want to use is going to be, oops, I got one more line, sorry about that one. Okay. Looking at this, trying to go a little fast. Take your time when you're doing this, so you make sure you get all your lines on there correctly. All right, and I'm looking, I still need my hem over on this side here, and my hem over on this side over here. I'm just going to take this and line. Same thing over on this side. Transfer my line like so. Now the last thing that I need is my 1/4 inch line up here on the top. This is going to be a hem line. All right, so I'm going to use a marking gauge. This is our marking gauge. How to use this is we have a little screw right here. You're just going to loosen this up. There's a ruler on the side here, and we have a little scribe. A lot of people forget that it's called a scribe, and they actually just call it a scratchy thing. Go ahead. You can call it whatever you want. And I'm going to set this part that moves to 1/4 inch. I'm going to make sure when I do this, the screw works best if you tighten it when it's on the flat part of our marking gauge. The marking gauge is rounded, but one side has a little flat edge on it. So you want to make sure that the screw is facing down on that side. Tighten it up, and I just simply have a 1/4 inch mark right there. Hold my metal to the edge of the table, and then I just simply pull my marking gauge towards me, this little scratch part right here, hold it at an angle and pull it towards you nice and gently. And now I have all of my interior lines. You probably cannot see this on the video, but they're just tiny little scratches, so I know exactly where I need to fold my pieces. Next step 4, it says use the tin snips to cut out the patterns on the sheet metal. Do not forget to cut down to the small tabs. These right here are our tin snips. When you're using these, you got to make sure that you always have safety glasses on. Okay, to open them, you just simply squeeze the handle. It's spring loaded, and it'll release this little latch right here. Okay, and then I open it up, and I'm simply just going to use them like scissors. Be careful so you know where your fingers are at all times, because you don't want to be cutting into your fingers. And then you're just simply going to cut along your lines. All right, your edges are going to be sharp, so make sure that you're very careful. And I'm going to cut. Now this is that small little tab. I want to cut down there. Okay, it's going to help me when I fold my pieces. And I'm just going to cut right along my edges here. Cut that. And when you're cutting, it's best if you pretty much cut off the entire line that you drew on there. Now your edges, again, they're going to be very sharp, so be careful as you're turning your piece so you don't hurt yourself. Okay. That, almost done here. Now, when you're cutting, watch out for the edges of the pieces that you cut out too, because those are extremely sharp. Those can just be placed right inside of the garbage can. You don't need to recycle them because this is a galvanized sheet metal. So we're not going to be doing any of the recycling on that. All right, one last cut that I have. Cut down. Don't forget to cut down your little tip here. And we take this off. Now the only thing that I have missing on my charcoal scoop pattern right now would be my name. You can choose to put your name on the front if you would like to see it, or you can put it on the back. But just make sure that you put your name on there so we know whose metal is whose. All right? Okay, so there. Put my name on it, and I have everything done. If you have any questions about steps 2, 3, or 4, please make sure that you ask the instructor, and we're happy to help out.